Mixed numerals and improper fractions. In the Intro to Fractions lesson earlier, we briefly discussed the issue of improper fractions versus mixed numerals. Both of these are options we have for writing a fraction that is larger than 1. You may remember that an improper fraction is a fraction whose numerator is larger than its denominator. So for example, 17 over 3 or 40 over 11. A mixed numeral expresses this exact same information as an integer written next to a fraction that is less than 1. So for example, 5 2/3 is the mixed numeral equivalent of 17 over 3. And 3 7/11 is the mixed numeral equivalent of 40 over 11. The test may give you numbers in either form and may list the answer choice in either form. First of all, it's very important to be comfortable changing from one to the other. So change these improper fractions to mixed numeral form. Pause the video and just take a moment to do it yourself, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, that first one, 28 over 5. Well, the biggest multiple of 5 that is less than 28 is 25, so I'm just going to express the 28 as 25 plus 3. Split up the fraction like that. The 25 over 5 becomes 5, and then it's 5 3/5. For 60 over 7, the biggest multiple of 7 that is less than 60 is 56. So I'm going to write that as 56 plus 4. 56 over 7 is 8, and so that's 8 4/7. The biggest multiple of 13 that is less than 80 is 78. So I'm going to write this as 78 plus 2, and 78 is 6 times 13. So 78 over 13 is going to be 6. It's going to be 6 2/3 altogether. Change these mixed numerals to improper fractions. Again, pause the video, work on these on your own, and then we'll talk about these. Okay, the way we do this is thinking about it in terms of fraction addition, because technically between that integer and that fraction in each mixed numeral is an implicit addition sign. And so we find a common denominator. 12, we'll multiply that by 2 over 2, and so that becomes 24 over 2 plus 1 over 2, that's 25 over 2. We'll multiply the 8 by 6 over 6, so it becomes 48 over 6, plus 1 over 6 equals 49 over 6. We'll multiply the 3 by 19 over 19. 3 times 19 is 57. So 57 over 19 plus 3 over 19 gives 60 over 19. Those are the improper fraction forms of those mixed numerals. So changing from mixed numerals to improper fractions or vice versa is one big idea. That's an important skill. Even more important than that is understanding the relative usefulness of each form. In other words, when would we want to have one form versus the other? It's great that we can have either form, but what is strategic? When would we want to use one form versus the other form? So mixed numerals are very useful if we need to locate the fraction on the number line. This could be helpful in comparing the fraction in size to another number. That's the principal use of mixed numerals. For adding and subtracting, it really doesn't matter that much. The two forms are about equal in difficulty. But here's the big idea. In multiplying, dividing, and raising numbers to a power, mixed numerals are worse than useless. And improper fractions are definitely the way to go. What do I mean by that? Worse than useless. Think of it this way. What is the value of 1 5/7 squared? Now you see, if you think about that in terms of mixed numerals, first of all, very few people on earth could square a mixed numeral in their head correctly. And most people, if they tried to do it, they would do something like square the 1 and square the 5/7 and add those together, something like that. In other words, almost anything that they would try would be wrong. And so it's an invitation to make thousands of mistakes because it's almost impossible to do it correctly. Well, by contrast, suppose we just change that mixed numeral to an improper fraction. 12 sevenths. What's the value of 12 sevenths squared? Well, that we all can do in our heads. That's 12 squared over 7 squared, or 144 over 49. This is much, much easier to do in one's head. And so improper fractions are much better for cases involving multiplication or division or raising to a power. This has profound implications for problems with mixed numerals. If the question gives mixed numerals in the prompt, asks for a calculation of some kind, and gives all mixed numeral answers, do not assume that you do the calculation in mixed numeral form, because mixed numerals under many circumstances are worse than useless. Instead, you should change the prompt numbers to improper fractions, do the calculations with the improper fractions, then convert back to mixed numerals. Here's a practice problem. Pause the video and then we'll talk about this. Okay, so this is multiplication. We're given the prompt numbers in mixed numerals. We're given answers in mixed numerals, but do not assume that you're going to do the calculation in mixed numeral form. Most people who tried to do this calculation would make all kinds of mistakes. It's not very easy to multiply mixed numerals. So instead, what we're going to do, we're going to change those to improper fractions. It seems like this might be a lot of extra work. It actually enormously simplifies the problem. So 1 and 1/6, that's 7th 6. 1 and 11/21 is 32 over 21. Well, now we're going to multiply those fractions, but of course, before we multiply, we're going to cancel. Notice we can cancel a factor of 7 in the 7 and the 21. Then we can cancel a factor of 2 in the 6 and the 32. Well, now that we've canceled everything, we're down to the lowest terms that we can get. So now we'll just multiply, and we get 6 over 9. Well, now that we have our answer in improper fraction form, we'll change this back to a mixed numeral. 1 and 7/9. That's the actual product, 1 and 7/9. So go back to the answer choices, and we select the correct answer choice A. Here's another practice problem, dividing mixed numerals. Pause the video, and then we'll go through this together. Okay, same deal. They give you mixed numerals. The answers are in mixed numerals. The naive test taker is going to think, uh-oh, I have to divide the mixed numerals. Anyone who tries to divide mixed numerals is going to do it incorrectly. It is almost impossible to divide mixed numerals correctly. So we're not even going to talk about that. It's a very hard conceptual thing. Instead, what we're going to talk about is, let's change those two mixed numerals to improper fractions. So rewrite them as improper fractions. I get to 45 over 8 divided by 9 over 2. Of course, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. 45 over 8 times 2 over 9. Cancel the factors of 9. Cancel the factors of 2. And I just get ordinary 5/4. And of course, now that we have that answer, I'll just rewrite that as a mixed numeral, 1 and 1/4. So it turns out the quotient is 1 and 1/4, answer choice A. Finally, another problem of this ilk. Pause the video and then we'll talk about this. Again, the same sort of thing. What we're seeing here is we have 1 and 4/5, a mixed numeral squared. Well, no one can square a mixed numeral. But what we're going to do is change this to an improper fraction. Improper fraction, 9/5 squared, well, that's just 9 squared over 5 squared, or 81 over 25. Well, now that we have the answer, we'll rewrite that as a mixed numeral, 3 and 6/25. And look for that among the answer choices, and that's answer choice E. In summary, it's important to be comfortable changing back and forth between mixed numerals and improper fractions. Important to be fluent in that conversion. If you need to determine the position of a fraction on the number line, mixed numerals may be a little more helpful. For calculations involving multiplication, division, or powers, mixed numerals are worse than useless. You have to use improper fractions. And if the problem gives you mixed numerals in the prompt and gives you mixed numerals in the answer choice, what you need to do is change to improper fractions, do your calculation, and then change back.